Let's get started. I'd like to call this meeting of the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors to order at 6:04 p.m. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, and we are meeting electronically. We have 10 board members present representing 9 votes. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
The first item is the agenda review. I do not know of any changes. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Al.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Joanna. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 9-0. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance
to
to the flag
The flag
United
of
States
the United States of America
and to
and
the
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
under
with
liberty,
liberty, and
justice
justice
for all.
Liberty for all. Play ball.
Okay. Visitors. Brenda, Dr. Odell, do you guys see anybody? If we have any visitors who wish to address the board, please just type your name in chat.
We do have visitors, but I haven't seen anything in the chat just yet.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda, which is the, let's see, minutes of January 20th, the special board meeting, which was the week before that, January 13th, and ESP negotiation planning. If anybody has objections or wants to ask questions about any of these things, we can remove them from the consent agenda. If I don't hear any objections, the consent agenda will be adopted. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. I'm looking right at Joanna on the screen so I can see.
Hi, Jeff.
It helps. Hi.
Jack, we did have a visitor who signed in just as you were closing that item. It's Kate Barcelos from the St. Albans Messenger. Is it okay to go back and take her?
Sure, we can do that right now. Hi, Kate.
Unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Hello to you.
I'm sorry I'm late. Dogs and snow and vehicles.
I'm guessing Kate just wanted to say hi, so.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think you guys are doing a great job, so keep it up.
Hey, thank you. It's always great to hear from y'all.
Yeah, Kate, you wrote 2 really beautiful articles about Bill and Brett. They were really nice articles, so thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. They were true pleasures to write. And honestly, since my time here at the Messenger, there hasn't been a single article that I haven't loved to write. So thank you. It's good to know they're being read.
We can understand how you found good things about Brett, but we're not sure how you did it for Bill. But
Bill is an absolute gem. And I have to say the interview went on for probably around 2 hours. I could talk to him all day.
And how much did he pay you for each hour?
Oh, if only. Oh, geez, he's here.
okay. Item 6A, COVID update. Kevin.
Everybody, I'll be mercilessly short today. We really don't have a lot of updates. So we haven't had any new cases since the last time we spoke. We have some students who've now come back after being quarantined, and some that are close to becoming back. So we're almost back full time. Testing, teachers are being tested, or staff are being tested tomorrow for I think it's the 3rd group of testing. It was supposed to be yesterday, but because of the snow day, the state moved everything to Thursday.
Can we
Well-
ask Tim what's going on at his place around?
That was my last thing, was talk about vaccinations.
I hate to take that from you, sorry.
And,
Of course you can. We had, yesterday was day 2. The weather was horrible. They almost canceled it, but they changed their minds. And they scheduled 150 a day and we only had 7 no-shows. So
Wow.
it went well. It's going very well. And my crew's doing a good job clearing snow out. And also the town, Alan Mashter has come up and he's salting our parking lot and they've helped us. So it's safe. Everybody's happy. And next week we go to 300 a day. So we'll be using another court, which takes away from BFA athletics a little bit because I have the dance team and the cheerleading squads out there at 4 o'clock every day, before 4 o'clock. So Dan Marlowe is going to rearrange their schedule a little bit. But yes, the clinics are going. I think I'm happy to be doing it. It's a great thing. And it's gone really, really well.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
that's all I had.
Anybody have any questions for Kevin? Any
I
board
have a
members?
question.
Nilda?
Kevin, the same is not true for some of the other schools around here, right? As far as issues related to having to close and go remote and et cetera. Is that correct, or do you know?
You know, I'm really not sure, Nilda. I haven't heard of a lot of cases of closing. I know the district north of us did have a case over the last 2 weeks where 2 classes had to close in Swanton, I think. But generally, I haven't heard of any. That doesn't mean there hasn't been any yet, just haven't heard of it.
Right. I've only heard it anecdotally, but I didn't know if it was confirmable. Thank you.
None in Franklin Northeast that I know about.
Any other questions for Kevin? Let's hope that it stays that way.
Right.
Item 6B, negotiations update. So that would be Bill, Nilda, Jack. You guys have any status report for us?
Real quick, the ESP negotiations, we're not doing any tentative agreements yet, but we've exchanged proposals and we've signed off on a couple minor language items, but in general, we're in the beginning stages and there's nothing of import to review yet. And we'll keep you posted, but it's moving along. Bill does a good job keeping our team informed, and Al does a good job keeping me straight. And of course, Alicia is always on the ball. So it's a good team, and it's also a good association team. They're very, very nice to work with.
Good. When's your next meeting, Jack?
It's on a Monday. Is it the 15th, Bill?
Yes, it's next Monday.
Yeah, next Monday.
Okay,
I could talk to you about professional staff.
sure.
We had, I think we've had 2 meetings. We had one meeting that we reviewed the ground rules and just talked in general. And then we had a second meeting where we exchanged initial documents of some proposals. Our next scheduled meeting was last night, and we opted to cancel that and have yet to reschedule due to several issues that were taking place with the storm and also with the central office having a family death. So we will look forward to Bill working with the association to come up with another date and time. But things are going well.
Good.
Yeah, Nilda, all I would add to that is, and I didn't get back to you, I'm sorry, is just brief conversation with Mike. He said, let's just skip ahead to the next scheduled one. We'll go
Oh,
from there and
cool.
see if we
Okay.
if we need one in March, we'll find a time to have another one in March. So
Gotcha.
sorry, I didn't get back to you after last night and us
Thank you.
all that phone calling.
That's good. Thanks.
That makes sense since everybody has it on their schedule.
Yeah, it just is like, why try to get the doodle poll out and try to figure out when we can find a day.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
Joanna, did you have a question? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Keep on keeping on.
and I want to thank Mike. You were very gracious. I know Mike Campbell's here watching.
That's
but
what he
thank you.
does.
Yeah. Well,
think
Mike's
he
always
needs to hear
gracious,
that.
right? We can't take that away from Mike.
Where is Mike? I don't see him. There he is. Hi, Mike.
Right there by the
And
by the
we know
bridge
it's
there.
not just the Golden Gate Bridge behind him because Katie's probably there too.
Mhm.
Okay. Item 7A, budget informational meeting. Kevin, what do you have for us tonight? Now we have 2 meetings to go before the budget presentation. So
So
this one and next one.
I'm going to be a poor substitute for Martha. But I'll give you some information that we have in place. Obviously, because of issues that have come up, we don't have the whole presentation ready for the 24th, but we do have another meeting where we can go over that with you. But I will go over some documents. And so I first refer to your attached documents. I think it's attachment 7A.
I would just say, Kevin, as far as the presentation goes, I think that over the years, we've got it worked out. So it's pretty good. So we should be able to.
We pretty much have the template in place. So
Yeah.
we're not too worried about it. So I guess I would preface everything we're going to talk about with the fact that we've had some very, very good news around state finances, which has pretty much drastically changed all the stats that you were given at the last couple of meetings. And today, what I want to do is just show you what that means. The major thing is that the yield was initially set at 10,763, which was extremely low. And that's why one of the reasons the tax rates were what they were. And since then, they found that through the feds and through tax receipts that have been better than they expected, they were able to raise the yield to 11,385.
And
So
just so everybody remembers, when the yield goes up, the tax rate goes down.
yes, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
So we now have new figures. And as I say, the figures have worked in a much better direction. There was a question for a while, what number we should use, because the 11,385 has to go through the typical legislative process. But then the 10,763 would have needed to go through too. So the state told us, go ahead and use the new numbers, which is the 11,385. So first off, you have 2 attachments that say 3 prior years comparisons format as provided by AOE. You have one that has the original yield of 10,763, and you have one with the new 11,385. So I would just bring you down using the new figures to the bottom to see what that changed with our tax rates. So now we've got Fairfield at $1.48. We've got everything set the base set at $1.48. And that brings us to the third page you've got, which is the tax rate information comparison from what was presented on 120 to what we now have for information. So Martha did the old numbers for January 20th and the new numbers as of then, February 3rd. So what you'll see is the FY21 ed tax rate went from, well, there's a change now of 2 cents, 2.28. And the adjusted tax rate after CLA, which is what we're all looking at, city was $1.75, $1.75, and now it's $1.66. So there's a decrease of 9 some odd cents. Town also went from what was 20 cent increase down to more of a little bit better, to where it's now $1.56, a decrease of 9 cents really. And Fairfield went from $1.79 to $1.69. So the bottom number tells us what the tax increase looks like right now. It looks like just under 2 cents for city, a little over 11 cents for town, and for Fairfield, about 6.5 cents. So there's significant drops. And as we recall, much of that had to do with the CLA. So what Martha, before she had to leave, did some graphs that I think is worthwhile for you to look at. It completely shows them visually a whole lot better than what you're seeing there. So Brenda, could you put up the slides that Martha had done? So what this shows is where the money comes from. So we know that town had a tax rate increase of 11.7 cents. So what the bar graph shows is that our adopted budget is 1/4 of a cent of that increase. The merger.
So that means if our budget was the same as it was last year, that the tax rate still would have gone up by 11 cents, more than 11 cents.
Correct.
In the town, yeah.
Correct. So your merger incentive, with that last 2 cents, and then we're done with the merger incentive, that's 2 cents. And then the CLA adjustment was 9.4 cents. So it certainly is a good visual that shows what we have control of and what we don't have control of on that. We've done the same thing for the city, which is the next slide. Oh, Fairfield first. Okay, city. Whatever we got. Fairfield. Once again, it's about 1/4 cent for our adopted budget, 2 cent merger incentive decrease, and then the CLA is about 4.2 cents. And at city's interesting because the city CLA actually went up, meaning the tax rates go down slightly. So the merger incentive is still the 2 cents. The adopted budget is still 1/4 cent, but the CLA actually went down 1/3 cent, which is how we got to 1.9 or something like that cent.
Yep. So
again, it's a heck of a lot better than we had first thought, we wish we could do something with the CLA, but we, as I say, we have no control over it. I think Martha had a couple other charts. Brenda, could you go to the next one? Okay, Martha did this one just to show, and she would talk about this a lot better than I, but it gives a 6-year education tax rate comparison. So when we merged in FY17, all the school districts had different, because they were all their own school districts, they had their own tax rates. So St. Albans City was $1.42, St. Albans Town $1.45, Fairfield, no, I'm sorry, Fairfield was $1.45, and Town was $1.46. And what she is showing here is that for FY22, we're $1.48. And that is with the merger almost done, the merger incentive. So over 6 years, the district's done pretty well at keeping their tax rates fairly small. And of course, yeah. So she can explain it better, and I'm going to ask her to explain it better when she is back. But it's a nice chart to have. And I think she has one more that talks about, yes, the home site value, homestead tax rate impact. So with the new numbers, these are the numbers that one would see in their respective towns for a $200,000 home.
Yeah, much better than what they were.
Yes.
But again, we don't know where they're going to end up. I mean, there's just no way to tell.
As far as the yield?
Yeah, yeah.
You never know that. That's true every single year.
Yeah, no, I know.
You can only go with the numbers that they give you and see what happens.
Yeah, and the governor was asked about it yesterday, and he was hoping that they would still do more, but he doesn't really know either. I mean, he can't, you know, he's not in the legislature, so.
The other information I would have for you is that, as you know, the budget meeting, information meeting is February 24th at 6 p.m. We've talked to Northwest Access TV to see if they could do it in some way, since we have to be, you know, we can't be together in the BFA library. And we're working with them now, but it looks like it can be done where we do it online. They will film it. Most board members would stay home and be on their Zoom. The only people in the room would be the people who are presenting, which would be Jeff and myself and Martha and the principals. And then there would be capability for people to ask questions if they had any questions around the information we have. So we don't have all the details worked out, but the head one up there has said that that's no problem. It's easily done. So it'll solve our problem for having an information meeting.
Maybe Brad will be able to show me the connector.
That's right.
There we go. Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
Nilda?
Question. Looking at the St. Albans City numbers and the CLA going down, that's really not very positive as far as the economic growth of the city, right? That's sort of indicative of the, or am I reading that wrong?
I guess it's your perspective, Nilda, but you in a way, that means houses are selling for slightly less.
Yeah.
No, I believe that because the CLA went up in the city, that means that house prices are closer to what they
I
should
thought it went
be.
down.
the effect on the tax rate was to go down because the higher CLA made the tax rate go down.
I thought the bar graph was below zero.
It was because that was the effect on the tax rate. That was
Oh, I
not the
thought that was-
CLA.
Okay, I read that wrong. I thought it was a CLA.
And the jump that we're seeing in the town is they finally crossed the 100% line, and now they're at, what was it, guys? It was 90 something, 90. I can't remember, but and that's why they're seeing a jump in their rate. So I think it just means that properties are selling closer to where others in the state are.
Okay,
Anybody
thanks.
else? Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
And then I'll talk to you between now and the next meeting, you know, if I have questions about the screens, the slides.
Yeah, by then, before the next meeting, we'll have the presentation all set, and we'll give it to you for you to decide if you like it that way or not.
Okay. So item 7B is the superintendent contract. This, I would like to move to executive session under 1 VSA 313A1A, contract negotiations, provided that we have a finding that premature, I got it here somewhere, unless Al has it. Premature general public knowledge would place the board at a substantial disadvantage. Can I get that motion, that finding, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Al.
Second.
Thank you, Jack. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 9-0. Item 7C, I believe that this is Bill for our parental involvement policy.
Thanks, Jeff. It's also, I'm going to have the help of my colleagues, the principals, because one of the things that every year that we're required to do under our Title I policy and our federal reporting is have a review of our Title I family engagement policy, C1. And so that's enclosed in your packet. But we'd like to take it as an opportunity to really celebrate all the great family involvement that's been happening this year, despite COVID. There's been a lot of great things happening. I know the discussion that happened last Thursday, I wasn't at the meeting, but saw the result in a 4-page list of activities that are happening at all the schools. And we thought it'd be good for the board just to hear from the different schools and from each of the principals, the great things they're doing, not only to give out information, but more importantly, to hear back from parents. And that's one of the big pieces of, as you all know, this is something that's near and dear to my heart with my doctoral work, is community engagement and family engagement as part of that. And that listening back to how folks, what their needs are, and how we can help them and how we can partner with them to better the education for their children and our students. So we've done a lot this year, especially with COVID. As the board probably recalls, you recall in July and August, Kevin talking a lot about COVID surveys going out to families and looking at ways that we can support them through COVID and our restructuring of schools. So we did a lot. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the cross district work, and then I'm going to facilitate a round robin with each of the school principals. They're going to talk about a couple of activities and not try to replicate ones from across schools. And at the end, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about Title I, the Consolidated Federal Grants and the Family Engagement Policy, and see if you have any questions as a board, if we're following that policy, and some of the places where you can find more details at each school in what's called the Family School Compact. So that's kind of the plan for this report. I don't know, Jeff, if we should just launch right into it, if you're ready for that, or if you have anything
go ahead.
I should add.
That sounds good.
Okay, so I thought I'd give a little bit of overview of some of the districts, and for the principals, I'm just going to go right in order that's on the sheet that you guys put together. So you kind of know your order already. But But really, as I said, through the summer, we did a lot of contact with parents about remote and hybrid learning and emotional work. And I really want to say that we presented a lot of information, but we also surveyed our parents. And there was at least one, if not two surveys that went out to all families about learning methods, or learning modes, I should say, and where their intent was, and then working with families to help support that. And then right at September 1st, we partnered as a district with Dr. Joelle Van Lent to offer a night on how we can support ourselves and our mental health and emotional well-being and our children as we navigate the changes we were doing to restart school in the COVID pandemic. So those are great things, as well as I think all of you know, we partner to make sure we get our schedules aligned for parent conferences. We had those in November, and we do that as well. And I know from talking to a lot of teachers, there's been a lot from all the schools, a lot of parent contact going on this year of teacher to parent and helping kids out. So maybe I'll throw it over to my colleague, Brett Blanchard from BFA to talk about, and we're going to try to take about 3 minutes each, principals. So just maybe three salient points from all the things you've done at BFA.
Let's take a little steam out of it, Bill. I had at least a 15-minute presentation, so I'll do what I can. Heather is also here to probably rudely interrupt me, to correct me or add things, and Sarah's there waiting to do so also. So really the biggest kind of positive out of this pandemic negative is that we've really utilized a lot of new ways, or at least fairly new ways, to communicate with parents. So YouTube Live has been pretty effective, reaching parents, getting feedback, and then we've been able to follow up to make sure that we take any questions and do it that way. Teresa has been very good with that. So while we do the traditional mailings and all of that, that is starting to go away. And so what we're really looking to do is use that digital media to try to push out information and to make sure that we also give parents a voice. So while they can't come into the building, we saw at the freshman parent night the other week, I think we had at least 60 parents. So, I mean, that's a pretty good number, or I should say 60 people logged in. There might be both parents logging in at the same time. We've used Facebook, which is still a means I think that parents like, and that gets updated regularly. You know, for the 9 or 10 people that read my blog, I keep that up every week, and that's been going on for the last 5 months anyways, and we try to include some pictures. If you want real excitement, I also put stuff out on my Twitter page, and there actually is a really neat story on Olivia Belrose writing an article for the BFA Mercury, and she's now been invited to be a speaker at an upcoming symposium. So puts that stuff out, try to do more media push out with that. Athletic department and guidance has also used a lot of virtual, and that's including everything from AD, Mr. Marlowe, giving updates. And we've also had a really effective, in terms of the layout, the BFA experience. And so it's been a real pleasure to combine with Northwest Career and Technical Center. And it's really, I think, a new way to go, which is allow videos out there for parents to check on the different departments. Then they're able to go and directly speak to a teacher. Administration was able to go in and out of these meetings, and looking to keep that as we still work towards live events for next year. So there's a lot more out there, but Bill obviously knew I could talk, so started with 3 minutes and that's it. So we're really looking to get a lot of things done and keep a lot of this going. So
Bill, I'm gonna, instead of rudely interrupt you, I'm gonna politely interrupt you. I just kind of wanted to add really quickly that at a different level of engagement, Matt Bloom and I had a 2-hour meeting with other district leaders, Julie Regenball, we had NCSS, we had the Deputy State's Attorney, to bring the TIP back, the TIP panel, but P stands for panel. And the Restorative Justice Center, Bo Twiggs, was kind of facilitating that meeting. we're not sure what it's going to look like yet. And unfortunately, that has been a body that has worked with families and students once they have disengaged, which is always harder to engage once you've lost them. So I think we're kind of flipping the script to say, how do we lose the students? How do we avoid losing them in the first place? How do we be proactive rather than reactive? Instead of working to bring them back, how do we keep them from going? Are we going to form a website with resources that are listed that families can access if the student isn't feeling well, physically, socially, emotionally, or are we going to deal on a referral basis, taking cases as they come? But what's exciting about that is we're moving the conversation of attendance to the community level, knowing that schools can't do it alone. So we're now talking district to district and within the community. So really quickly, I just wanted to add that, but that's another level of engagement.
And just, Bill, just give me 30 seconds. There's two
Okay.
other areas that really it's shown doing these parent-teacher conferences online. The benefit is we get to meet parents where they are from the standpoint of their schedules sometimes can be very difficult to physically come into school. And that's something that would be nice if we can combine the in-person while allowing that as an option. It may not really be possible early on until we can work out some of the kinks, how to take one teacher and allow both to happen, but there's ways to make that work. And something that's really been impressive to me are these student groups. So while we kept having this COVID world of we're not supposed to do this, we're not supposed to do that, students did a bang up job going out to the park, doing a Halloween gathering for students to still have some semblance of that experience. They also had coat drives, hundreds and hundreds of coats giving. We regularly give out food to the community and the students work those food drives. There's everything from Operation Happiness that they do. And we've done, or excuse me, I sound we because I shouldn't take any credit for this. The music department's done a great job, really. You know, Mr. Messier and Mr. Bushy really doing some great music videos. So really very innovative stuff happening. And if anybody's really interested, get a hold of me and I'll give you the nitty gritty, the real details over what we've been doing. So that part's been a pleasure to do. I look forward to in person, but you know, that's not my vote right now, what we do.
Thanks, Brett. I think I'm going to move it along. I should have gotten a hook a little bit because we went a little beyond, but thanks for all that information. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. Sean.
Now that Brett has used all of our 3-minute allowances, I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. So I will say that our Facebook page is the primary method of communicating with our families. We don't have daily announcements like the bigger schools do because we don't have that much stuff always. 800 people create a lot of stuff. But we have 716 followers on our Facebook page, which is kind of impressive for a tiny school. And we do share all of our normal announcements and photos there, but we also do use our blast email system, texts and phone calls for more urgent contact with parents. We do have a new partnership with the Fairfield Food Shelf. They had found that a lot of food was not getting picked up at the food shelf. So they were having sort of an overabundance of food. So what we're doing now is from the food shelf, we are picking up or finding a way to get a bunch of the food that is there, and we bring it to school and we pack it up for families that have let Brenda know that they have a need for some food. So you will find us on Fridays, usually at the end of the day in Carline, packing large boxes full of food into family minivans, which is a really amazing thing. And Melissa Dion is one of my special educators, and she kind of spearheaded this and took it on with Julie Wolcott, who's one of our community members, and just all the great people in Fairfield who are working to get food to our families in need. So that has been big for us. But my biggest sort of parent involvement or parent engagement strategy this year has been reconfiguring my behavior team and taking my school social worker, Kate Horrigan, who is actually a certified master's level school social worker, and putting her into that role this year. So she is providing outreach to families in need and coordinating communication between the school and home. She has this year worked with the internet company, Consolidated, to get internet to a home where the parent couldn't arrange for that themselves. She's set up phone service for another family. She set up parents with email accounts. She visits homes and delivers schoolwork, computers, supplies, and food. She does counseling. And truly, this is just such an amazing benefit for our community. We've needed this kind of position for years and have not ever been able to do it. And Kate has just absolutely stepped into this. This is her area of strength, and she's doing a beautiful job. And I couldn't be more happy with how that is improving our ability to be in touch with our families. And with 14 seconds left, I cede to the tech center.
Thank you, Sean. That was great. That was great. Leanne.
Thank you. I could probably shave off some time to make up for everybody's long-windedness. So here we go. We have been lucky enough to partner with BFA around the YouTube Live events. And Bill, we really need to give you credit for starting those last spring. It was a great way to communicate to our stakeholders about where we were in the world of COVID. So those have been awesome. I would like to tell you that the best way for the board of directors to attend these events or to watch them after they've aired is to subscribe to the MRUSD Outreach YouTube channel. And we can get you that site. I can give it to Brenda and she can make sure that you get that so you can see what we've been up to.
I'll send it out to everybody.
Okay, you got it. The parent conferences and info sessions for Northwest Career and Technical Center, we've been doing this for a few years now. So we capitalize on the fact that parents are coming to the building or coming virtually to have parent-teacher conferences. And so we literally schedule an info session for parents and students that want information on the technical center. And this past fall, we had over 30 parents and students that signed up that wanted more information on the technical center and programs that we offer. And then the last piece that I'll add that's a little bit different than what others have said is that we have partnered a new partnership with BFA, the BFA Mercury. So Dino, our outreach coordinator, is partnering with the BFA Journalism Club, and they're going to produce a print copy of the Mercury, and it's going to be distributed to all of the students and families within our sending schools. So they'll have that information, and they'll know what's going on at BFA.
Thanks, Leanne. Thanks, Leanne. Joan.
Okay, so at City, probably the biggest thing that we do is our daily announcements, and our daily announcements are done in the form of a blog. And we have so many of our parents that subscribe to it. So every night the daily announcements come to you for the next day. But not only do they have the announcements, but also pictures of everything that's going on in the school. A lot of times, I hate to say this, but our school is pretty big, and I learned about a lot of things that night in the daily announcements, and I'm so sorry I missed them. So it's a really cool way of just keeping everyone connected to what's going on. We have made the most of Zooming, and Stacy and I have been running quite a few family nights, and then our tech team joined us and they hosted family nights around how to access technology. Our coaches joined us and they hosted a family night on how to read the iReady and Lexia reports. So we've really sort of done a lot with, we can't bring people into our building, so how can we go into their homes and be supportive? And the last thing I think that we've done is that we're using home visits. A lot of times when we can't connect with somebody, I'm going to tell you, people get in the car and go there. And that's been sometimes the best ways for us to be able to connect with families, and people are really appreciative of that. So that's what we've been doing.
Great. Thanks, Joan. Angela.
Thank you, Bill. So I've had a lot of folks go ahead of me, so many of the things that the other principals have spoken about are definitely things that SATEC does. We do rely heavily, like SACS, on our daily announcements, and that's also connected to our Facebook page. So we do that every day, and there's a lot of good information there. I will highlight something just a little bit different that was pretty nice this fall, because we transitioned kids to new teams, and people were coming back after being gone. Many of our teams held an in-person outdoor kind of parent open house. And so, we were able to kind of follow the guidelines and be safe with doing that. But it was really nice because I used the fall and the weather was decent. And a few that didn't did it through, Zoom or Google Meet. So that was really positive, just to kind of reconnect kids and families this fall. The other thing that I will also mention is we have over 300 children that are dropped off at school in the morning. And it's just a really nice way for us to greet kids, and we can say hi to parents. I know it's kind of short, but it's just a really nice thing for us to be able to do. There's a bunch of teachers. I'm out there. Jason's in the back unloading buses, but there's a lot of families bringing their kids. So we make contact, and sometimes, people park and we're able to talk outside. So it might seem small, but it's a big deal because we can't have parents in the building, and been able to have some nice chats with parents. In addition, I will mention, we also use, the Google and the Zoom, but we do it not just for bigger events. I'm in tons of meetings with teachers and parents, during the week, and lots of them on Wednesdays. We schedule them, that parents at request. We talk about the progress of their children. It could be related to an EST, IEP, or 504, or just to meet, just to check in if they have questions. And so we do that a lot. And I think that's, really important, and it really provides some really individualized and really positive connections with families, as everybody's, still navigating this pandemic, and how to, just be supportive of everyone. So I think that highlights everything that I had, and I think I kept it under my 3 minutes. Thank you, Sean, for doing that for us. And I will turn it over to, I think it's Stephanie's turn right now.
Yes, it is. I wanted to let Stephanie have a chance to add for ECP in our early ed work.
So in terms of parent engagement, preschool's been very busy with making sure that we find connections with families when we can't have them in our classrooms. So many classrooms have Facebook pages that are private, but that the families join, and they can see pictures of their students throughout the day. Some of our teachers use Class Dojo or Class Tag, and they will post ongoing photos for the day that the parents can look at when they get out of work. And see what their kiddos are up to. We have a Maple Run Early Childhood Facebook page as well, where we post activities for families to do, or activities that can be done when kids aren't in school, because preschool is 2 full days a week, but there's 3 other days in the week for kids to play. And so this gives families an idea of some things they can do. We also use Seesaw, and Seesaw, we create some different activities there that parents can do with their children, or anyone who requests being part of that child's online journal. So grandparents have been posting videos of themselves doing activities with their kids as well. Some of the things that people have done, we send home weekly newsletters. Each classroom teacher sends home a weekly newsletter specific to that class and relates it to our Vermont early learning standards that are guide our curriculum for students. So that's preschool.
Thanks, Stephanie. Really appreciate that. Jeff, I would point to folks that in the packet was a copy of E1, the Title I Part A Parent Involvement Act. And while the policy is short, it's really about connecting with parents and families. And I don't know if there's any questions from the board, but this is our report we're presenting to review how we engage families. And as I said at the beginning, I think it's a lot more important than Title I. While we're required to do it federally from there, it's really about engaging families from all our schools, and no matter if it's Title I or not.
Joanna.
I just have a question, and it's more of I'm really interested in what different administrators have to say. I've just been thinking a lot lately about kindergarten and how kindergarten is not compulsory. And I was wondering, because I also know that when you look at dropout rates, that the research that I have seen out there has been that if you look at students' kindergarten attendance and then their senior year attendance, that oftentimes you see a lot of similarities, and kids who had trouble engaging or attending kindergarten consistently had troubles later on. And from a preventative point of view, it's hard for us, it's hard for schools to try to improve kindergarten attendance when it's not compulsory. And I was just wondering if, I know that that's not something that a school can fix, but I wondered if that was something that was discussed possibly with legislators or whatnot, if that would be a route people would encourage folks to go. So I just wanted to hear what people had to say. I just thought about it, for the first time the other day, that it's just frustrating because I feel like more and more we're seeing problems with attendance on the kindergarten level and parent engagement. And I just know how this unfortunately can set children up, for later on. So I was just interested to hear other people's perspectives.
Anybody have thoughts?
And you can think about it and get back to me. I just wanted to know how other people thought.
I'm letting my principal colleagues go, but I can tell you that, I want to give them some think time if they like it, or we could get back to you on that.
Sure, sure.
I had a question too. I thought there were some Title I funds involved with parental engagement, and I was wondering if because of COVID, if we're missing out on any funding opportunities that we can't take advantage of.
No, we're actually a lot of the Recovery Act, CARES Act money is following the Title I allotment, is how it's being distributed out nationally and statewide. We do have, you're right, Jeff, there are monies that are there for parent engagement activities. I know we've used some of them. I can tell you, I really had this conversation with one of the 3 principals that of the schools that receive Title I monies. But I don't think that we've been able to use all of it, just because they're usually events that come into schools. I know, Sean, you had a conversation, Joan and I had a conversation with this, but
yeah,
I don't know if you have more to add on that.
I remember City School used to have dinners, as a way to get parents in. So
this year, what we did is something that we did 2 years ago. Sean's idea that I stole. 2 years ago, we did math games for every student to have something to do at home with their families. And this year, last year when we had our Title I meeting, we asked parents what they wanted us to do. Stace and I wanted to know what their thoughts were. They loved our Raider book and really wanted us to print the Raider book for every family. Unfortunately, the Raider book was all about the Gaga pits, and we didn't let the kids use Gaga pits, and I thought it was kind of cruel to give them a book about Gaga pits when they weren't going to be allowed to use them. So that was when we decided we would do literacy games this year. So I would say this is only the second time that we've spent every penny that we had to spend for parent involvement, because we were able to use ideas like this, where we're actually getting tools out into homes. When we bring people in with a speaker, we're never really able to spend the money, and very few families access it.
Great.
Sean, do you have anything you want to add? I kind of knew
Yeah,
that.
I would say that it just really depends on the year. In previous years, we would buy a bag full of literacy and math games and provide them to any parent who came to our Title I information night. We also did, like Joan said, we created a bunch of math games and provided parents with the materials. I think in the future, you know, I would think that the parent involvement funds, which are a certain percentage of Title I, so there's a certain percent that we have to spend on parent involvement. You know, Joan was saying that attendance at parent events is really hard, but I've really enjoyed the district-wide sort of opportunities that we've had, whether it be with Joelle Van Lent or about vaping or with John Halligan, or any of those things that just sort of bring parents into some environment where we can provide them with some education and connect with them. I think that is a better opportunity for us rather than spending money on, you know, what we used to, you know, a charcuterie board. You can't feed them in with Title I money, but you can provide some snacks. So it's all about working around the federal money to find ways to get parents into the building. And I just think we have some good opportunities. And actually, Angela and Joan have really led the charge of bringing parents together in the evenings for learning that is useful for them. And I think that's a good use of our Title I parent involvement money in the future. But we'll see what parents have to say. They get to provide input at our Title I information nights. Mine's coming up next week, as a matter of fact.
Thanks.
That's what we have, Jeff.
That was really good. Do any board members have questions? Nelda, you're muted.
I Googled Gaga Pit so I could figure out what they were, so I no longer have a question.
Fairfield has one too.
And I think Town has a few. I think
Oh,
too.
okay.
They're pretty popular. The kids love them.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item 8A, warrants. Can I get a motion to approve the warrants?
So moved that warrants approve and with the signature, with our approval, it represents our signatures on the blah, 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 blah.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. Can I get a second? Jack, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 9-0. Superintendent's report. Kevin, you're muted.
Nothing additional, Jeff.
Okay, thank you. And board announcements. Any board members have anything? Where's Sue? She always has something.
I'll do something for Sue. They had their first home BFA Nordic ski meet today that went really well. There was about 7 teams, and I just want a huge shout out for Mike Mashter and Scott Magnan. Thank you. I just lost his name. Because they literally spent, I think, like 7 hours there today to make the meet go the way that it was supposed to go. So each school did like their own time trial, so they got to, you know, run all their racers, and then the school left, and then another school came. So, I mean, that was a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work. So, just wanted to share that, and I think BFA did pretty well.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I think we're going to be sprung up here.
Yeah, I heard that, Al.
I was able to come into the dining room to meeting tonight. Didn't have to meet in the bathroom.
Awesome.
Progress, Al.
Such good news.
It is.
Okay, agenda items for future meetings. We will be going over the budget presentation at the next meeting. That'll probably be the.
Jeff, I think Brett had his hand up.
Oh, Brett, did you have something?
That's fine. It's going to just tag along with it. Joanna said I was there watching some of the teams, the logistics that go into these events now are massive. As the buses are jockeying around, I was out there, and yeah, it's pretty impressive what
Yeah.
everyone is doing to see these kids can compete.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Jeff, can we also put on some kind of discussion around the SRO? We had talked last time about possibly the following meeting after we talked about it as a group as to how we wanted to communicate outward.
So do you want an update from the committee, or are you asking for something else? I'm confused.
I think an update. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I just.
Because I can find out from Emma when their next meeting is, so that we'll know whether they would have something to update. They had their first meeting, and they have chairs now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
I would like an update.
Yeah, so I'll talk to, sorry, Joanna, let me just answer Sue. So I'll talk to Emma and find out if they're going to have a meeting between now and the next meeting so that they have something to update us about. And then Joanna, what are you looking, is that what you're looking for?
That, and that there were concerns that were emailed, to us as a group. And we, Grant had brought up last time that they were voiced concerns that if we didn't address them in the visitors, time last meeting, and that we would have an opportunity to just possibly clear up any kind of misunderstandings or misinformation.
Okay. All right. I'll see what we can do.
Thank you. I just think that's important that we follow up with some of these folks that had concerns.
Okay. Did everybody watch the recording? Okay. All right. Now I'd look for a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A1A to discuss the superintendent contract. And that would just be including the board.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Who said second? Sorry.
Nina.
Nina.
Nina or Nilda, doesn't matter.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 9-0. We are in executive session.
Yep.
Okay, so we are now out of executive session at 7:46 p.m.
I move that we offer a contract to Mr. Bill Sweeney for a 3-year contract.
Bill Campbell.
Campbell. Thank you. Campbell. I remember his name. And
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the superintendent contract, 3-year contract with William Kimball, effective July 1st, 2021. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jack. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 9-0.
Awesome.
Yay.
He's gonna do great things for us. I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice work, everybody. Appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
seeing as how we're at the end of our agenda, we are now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night,
Thank-
folks.
Thank you.